Well, hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to this evening's Chatham Hall. Why a School for Girls, Chatham Hall in Depth. We are so very glad you're joining us this evening. We hope you're in the comfort of your own living room, and that we're thrilled to join you on this journey to find out what is really special about girls' schools. My name is Sara Stephenson, and I am the rector and head of school at Chatham Hall in the beautiful state of Virginia, where I'm here on our 365-acre school. And we couldn't be more excited that you're interested in hearing about the fundamentals of why, as much as we love boys, I have two of my own. They're fabulous. We love girls and we believe in the value of the education of girls. So we're going to offer you some information this evening, hopefully that can help you make some strong decisions and help you get to know us a little better, but really just talk about the why behind education for girls' schools. Full disclosure, I went to a girls' school myself. But really, I'd love to do just a quick little bit of housekeeping and some introductions. So we will go through some things shortly. And I'm going to ask our panelists today to introduce themselves one by one. And I'm going to start with Kimber Keating, who will introduce herself, and she'll also explain to you how she will be moderating this evening and how you can ask a question. Over to you, Miss Keating.
Good evening. My name is Kimber Keating, and I am the Director of Development and Engagement here at Chatham Hall. But the role that I'm most proud to play here is that I'm the mom of three Chatham Hall alumna, classes of 2020, 2022, and 2024. My role here tonight is just to make this as easy and as smooth as possible for our panelists, as well as for you all who are participating from home. I'll be moderating the Q&A, and at an appropriate time, we'll share any questions that you have with the panelists. So as those questions come up, you can put those questions in the Q&A. It will not disrupt anything that's going on or anyone who's speaking. We're delighted you've joined us tonight to learn a little bit more about why we think girls' school for everybody.
We do indeed. Thank you, Kimber. And the stars of our show this evening, I believe, are four wonderful young women who are joining us. They are either Chatham Hall current students or graduates. And I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves to you. They'll tell you their name. They'll tell you the grade that they're in. They'll tell you what brought them to Chatham Hall, from whence they came, and a little bit about where they may be, because a couple of them have moved on to the graduate side of things. So I'm going to start with you, Rose. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name's is Rose Wen, and I'm a sophomore right now. It's my second year in Chatham, and I'm a Chinese international student, so I came from China. Yeah.
Thank you, Rose. And then over to you, Anna.
Hi, my name is Anna. I'm a current junior, and this is my third year at Chatham Hall. I'm from Northern Virginia, and what brought me to Chatham Hall was definitely the welcoming community that I saw on my first day here.
We've talked about that, Anna, haven't we? Yeah. Thank you, honey. And then Rowan.
Hi, I'm Rowan. I'm a current senior from Charleston, South Carolina. This is my third year here at Chatham, and what brought me here is just the opportunities to try new things and get involved in leadership on campus.
Thank you, Rowan. And last but by no means least, one of our wonderful recent alum graduates, Caroline.
Hi, I'm Caroline Greganti. I'm a freshman in college at UNC Wilmington now, which is crazy to say. I was at Chatham Hall for 4 years. And what brought me to Chatham Hall was, again, like Anna said, the warm and welcoming community. When I did my open house, I just absolutely loved it. And I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Well, we're very, very happy to have you girls. But we're gonna, for now, the girls will offer some really important perspective, I think, but we really want to share with you the answer ultimately to this question, why a school for girls? And yes, we are here to talk about Chatham Hall, but really, why a school for girls? And so I wanted to start with this. We are members, as many independent girls' schools are, of an organization called the International Coalition of Girls' Schools, ICGS. And I feel as though they sum it up really rather well, because they say, we believe a school for girls is better than a school with girls. A girls' school by design. Chatham Hall happens to have been that since 1894. And in 1894, to be an all-girls school where women were given a strong education in all different aspects of academia was really cutting edge, and we really are cutting edge to this day. But this is something to really consider if you're looking for your own daughter. What is the difference between a school that has girls but a school that is designed just for girls? So that's a thought to have. But if we go all the way back to the very beginning, when you first brought that little one home from the hospital, it's an interesting question. Are boys and girls at birth inherently different? And the answer is actually, brain-wise, no. A boy and a girl's brain under a microscope in infancy, they're very, very similar. It's very difficult to tell them apart, actually. But what this book, and if any of you have a friend who may be pregnant or have a little one, this is a really great book to buy as a shower gift. But it really says, it's written by a neurologist who points out that the brain is extremely neuroplastic. And what that means is it is the influences that are placed on very, very young children that really indicate what their learning styles, what their communication styles, and what their patterns are going to be. And it just really charges us as educators to think about, and as parents to think about, what is that environment going to be like? How are we going to best serve our child, and understand the way that her brain and her developmental curve is going to work. So on that note, girls are very, very different in grades K through 4. And of course, we are a high school. We're looking at grades 9 through 12, but it really does start right here. And I'm sure many of you, especially if you have sons as well as daughters, may look at some of this and go, okay, that sounds very familiar to me. Little girls in K through 4, their vocabulary tends to be a little bit more advanced. They are a little bit better at looking at tone and nonverbal skills. That another reason why COVID was so very, very difficult for children of this age, girls actually in particular. Fine motor skills are very good. Oftentimes you'll hear that little girls are really good at coloring and little boys maybe not so much. Little boys inherently have testosterone. Everybody knows that. It's a really important hormone chemical for boys to have. And it actually physically makes boys want to move around. So if you, like me, have sons and you've ever been told they're so wiggly, they can't keep still, they interrupt, that's completely normal. But when you're comparing it with girls who may be coloring or using more advanced vocabulary, in the early elementary grades, it can form quite a significant difference maker. And one thing that is really, really critical to know is that boys, when they are in these grades K through 4, have a very different reaction to risk taking than little girls. If a little boy, for example, jumped up onto a desk or a chair that was a little bit too high and jumped off in kindergarten, his brain would tell him that that was awesome. His brain would go, that was so much fun. And he'd want to do it again. And that's how his brain is wired. Little girls have a very healthy, active, risk-taking capacity, but their brain, when they do the same thing, just does not send them the same messages. So when you think about how kindergarten through 4th grade is fundamentally designed to have some norms of behavior, it isn't necessarily true that boys and girls are going to fit well into that norm and that model. Well, let's take it one step further. Let's talk about, when they get a little bit older than this. And this is some quite startling data that I do think every parent should know. And this is known very well nationally and internationally as what's called the confidence gap. Between the ages of 9 and 14, boys' confidence increases by 27%. And during that same period of time, age 9 to 14, girls' confidence decreases by 30%. And this is across the board. This is socially, emotionally, athletically, academically, artistically. If you have a son and a daughter that you've raised through this age range, you may have seen this exact same thing. But what I do want you to think about is if you take a 14-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy and you put them in a freshman classroom that is a co-ed classroom, and you lean into that, even in a wonderful school with small class sizes and a very gifted teacher, you are not on a level playing field with the boys and the girls in the room. Boys are coming in feeling awesome. They can take over the world. They feel wonderful. Girls are doubting what they're doing and what they're saying. So if you are putting that in a same space in a co-ed classroom at this critical high school jumping off point of ninth grade, this is something that is really important to consider, that your daughter at this age is likely to be at a low ebb with her confidence. And therefore, it is vital that that starts to go up before she moves through the upper grades and into her senior year and beyond, and that boys' confidence is an all-time high. And can you really be certain in a co-ed school that a teacher is going to be able to reach both of those genders in one place in time? Really worth thinking about. And then this really nails it down once more time. The purple diagram on the left-hand side, and this is all about the brain, but we're not here to delve into brain science, not really. On the right, on the left, what we're basically saying here is when we get into full adolescence, which high school is adolescence, the parts of the brain that are really changing a lot are decision making. Many of you might have heard about executive functioning. Can you stay on top of things? Can you stay organized? Can you keep it all together? Can you do a long-term project and make sure it's finished? Boys, it's an all-time low. It is a normal developmental pattern. Girls, it goes crazy. It kicks right into high gear. And so again, in a co-ed classroom, when you have this disparity, how are you being absolutely certain that your daughter's needs, when she's really peaking in this high gear with that prefrontal cortex, are really being captured and accelerated? Similarly, when we look on the right-hand side, the orange diagram, and again, we love boys. Boys are phenomenal. We love them lots. Some of these girls here have siblings who are boys. I have two of my own, but I can tell you these things are true. If we look at that orange diagram, as we connect the left and right parts of the brain, this is what is complicated language. So when we think about high school, when we're starting to really dig into text, being deep readers, being really thorough writers, being analytical. Girls, it's often running. They're really ready to go ahead and do that. Boys, it moves a lot more slowly. And again, that is normal. Boys are working hard, girls are working hard. This is just normal development. And there is a 2-year delay between boys and girls in these two different areas. So if you are going to put your daughter in a co-ed environment, are you certain that the teacher is going to be able to address her needs when her skill set may be 2 years further along the path than her male peers in a co-ed environment? So just something to think about. Well, really everybody's talking about it, not just us here at Chatham Hall, not just this Zoom. Literally, if you were to go and search on Google and, why a girls' school, everything everywhere is bringing this up. From everything from physics.org to the New York Times to local newspapers to The Guardian, which is a British newspaper, TED Talks. Everybody is starting to say, okay, this is worth paying attention to, really seriously. Something's really going on here. Are boys reading girl books, and even 17 magazine had a pretty decent article about, listen, girls, get yourself to an all-girls school. That's the way to go. And so we're going to look a little bit more at some of that International Coalition of Girls' School research that I mentioned previously, so we can try and answer this question. Does it really make that much difference? Does it? I mean, let's see. So what I have here is a very recent piece of data, which came out of the ICGS think tank. And it basically says, bottom line, girls in all girls schools are going to have higher self-confidence. It is just that simple. They are going to have a more positive, healthy self-image. They are actually going to have greater self-confidence and a broader range of interests, especially as they travel through this period of adolescence, which is often, a very up and down time. And so right here, self-esteem. And I've been in education nearly 30 years. And the number one thing that I have heard most consistently from families is, I want my child to have a healthy self-esteem. So actually, our panel of girls, I'm actually really interested to I'm going to ask Anna this. Anna, do you have any insight on this? What do you think? You've been with us nearly 3 years and you came from a co-ed school. What do you think?
Yeah, so I went to a co-ed school all of middle school and elementary school. And I think one of the biggest challenges for me there was kind of feeling like I was just another person in the room, as if like everyone was just a copy and paste of each other. And I feel like coming to Chatham was welcoming in a way that didn't just make me feel comfortable, but allowed me to step out of my comfort zone. And so eventually it gave me the confidence to start my own initiatives and stuff like that. And the environment that I've been in has been so supportive in a sense that I don't feel inferior to any of my peers. And I feel like we can like all help each other to get to where we need to be. And so I feel like that really helped boost my self-esteem.
Interesting. So, Anna, you've just said something I'm going to ask you a little bit more about. Sometimes in a girls' school, and this is a little bit of a tangent, we can sometimes hear, well, we watch a lot of movies and culture about girls in all girls' schools must be really mean. We, I think, here would say that the opposite data is true, but I think you just referenced something about that. I think I heard you say something about support.
Yeah. So in my experience, I feel like I don't feel judged here. I feel like when I want to step up and do something, I'm supported by the people around me, no matter how great or small what I'm trying to do is. And I feel like there's never a sense of someone hating what I'm doing. Um, Everyone is always there for each other. And so even if that person isn't directly helping you, you feel that sense of, I know that people have my back. And so I don't need to be scared to try to do what I want to do, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think that feeds higher self-confidence even further, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Anna. I appreciate that. So have a look at this one. And this blows me away because this is very, very recent research. So at the start of a university career, girls' school graduates in the United States, and we have one right here, Caroline, their confidence in math is 10% higher than their co-ed peers. And the second bullet point just floors me. What only if you have a freshman class in college and just 1 hour a week of single gender education, just 1 hour, just one. Let alone imagine having 4 years in an all girls high school like Chatham Hall, but 1 hour a week of all girls classes benefits women in freshman year. They are 7% more likely to pass those first year courses and score 10% higher at the end of their sophomore year from 1 hour a week. And, Caroline, you had, 4 years of this. Bottom line is girls do better academically in single gender schools. Boom. That's it. More than 80% of girls' school grads consider their academic performance highly successful. Caroline, you're a freshman in college. What do you think? Is this research something that you feel that you can resonate with, or do you feel something differently?
I definitely agree. Going from, in middle school, I was terrified to do math. I thought I couldn't do it. I thought I was terrible at it. Um, to going into high school, and I was supported, and my teachers looked out for me, and I felt like I could advocate for myself, and I learned self-advocacy skills. And now going into college, I'm in a calculus course, and I'm doing great, and I'm advocating for myself, and I go to my teacher's office hours because that's what I was taught at Chatham Hall, and I just have confidence in the classroom. Um, and I know that I would not have had it if I didn't come to Chatham Hall.
So, yeah, you say this research is thumbs up.
Yes, definitely.
It blows my mind that just an hour makes such a difference. It's crazy. Well, let's keep moving. Because this one is to us, I think, as people who are used to the all-girl environment. And again, we love boys. Girls' schools strengthen their voices. Girls are they speak up and they speak freely and without interruption. And again, I'm going to repeat that we love boys. We are not here to say that we don't value boys and the role that boys play in our lives and in the role of our lives here at Chatham Hall. We enjoy all of the work that we do with other schools, including boys' schools. But boys are, if you go back to that original slide and you look at the testosterone that is still in boys, particularly in adolescence, and the blurting, that can often be the reason why boys interrupt. They're not being rude, they're not being disrespectful. It is a chemical reaction to the hormones in their body. But the bottom line here is in all girls schools, an open and safe exchange of ideas. Nearly 90% of girls school grads say, my opinion is respected. And if you look at girls in co-ed schools, it's way down. It isn't even at 60%. To me, that is fairly staggering. Rowan, do you have anything to say about this? And then I think I'm going to ask Rose the same question when you're done. What do you think about this? Do you think it's okay to speak up and say what you think?
Definitely. I would definitely agree with those numbers. I came from a public high school, a co-ed public high school, and I definitely just kind of blended in with the crowd, kept my head down, didn't volunteer for anything, was terrified of public speaking. And something as small as just like standing up and saying the Lord's Prayer in chapel or announcing a lacrosse game in assembly would have like put me in a coma. And now I'm doing a webinar. I'm announcing weekly things at assembly. I speak in chapel all the time. And I didn't see the change at first until my parents came for family day last year and they saw me speaking and they were like, when did this happen? And I'm like, and so I started looking back at it. And it really is just because all those opportunities were filled by guys at my old school. There wasn't a chance for you to try something new or put your name down just because they were always there first or it was always offered to them first. And it's just nice that it's all the leadership positions are filled by girls and we're all there to support each other and it's a really collaborative space versus competitive, which I've definitely enjoyed and grown from. Um, but just small things like that or bigger things like running for different peer elected leadership roles and having to give a speech.
Yeah. So that's interesting because now you're a senior year and you have that whole perspective from when you were first a freshman in a very different school. Thank you. Rose, what about you? You've joined us from overseas, and you spend a lot of time communicating in English, which is not your first language,
Yeah.
and you're a really long way from your family. Tell us how this has felt for you. How do you feel about this idea of a girls' school giving you a chance to speak freely or find your voice?
Actually, my personality is doesn't change a lot like when I came here, but I feel that the biggest is when I came to Chatham, like I show up my personalities. Because like in my old school, like I do have my own idea, but I'm just sometimes I will be afraid of to be different. Like I afraid like people will judge me or because I'm different than them. So like they will think I'm weird or something. So I will not like speak public a lot. So I just say I just follow them. Like although I have some opinion in my mind. But when I came to Chatham, like the biggest feeling is like I feel every girl like around me, they have a inclusive perspective. Even like I do make a lot like English grammar wrong like during my speaking or something, but I feel like they're really try their best to understand me and they will not judge. So that's give me really confident. I feel like in this role or in this community, it's actually a good thing. It's like everyone is different. That's why make Chatham like unique and make us to build a really like good community and we can make our strengths together. So I think it's not only the confident, it's also like it's because you are actually accept yourself and accept the whole community and the people around you. So yeah.
Rose, thank you very, very much. That's a really great perspective. Okay, girls, let's look at this one. So I've kind of broken it down in boom, 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 because we want to make good use of everybody's time and definitely get to Q&A. But so attending a girls' school positively impacts. I mean, this is just data proof. It is. It's not just our opinion or these girls' perspective. This is just proof for proof. Cultural competency, community involvement, civic and political engagement. ability to foster, develop, and use her voice, leadership skills, self-confidence, interest in STEM and STEAM. And then definitely girls' schools do these things. We care about how girls learn. We really want to provide, and these girls have all referenced it in different ways with different words and language, inspiration and aspiration, so that we can lean into making things better, academic achievement, mentoring. I'm going to ask the girls a couple of questions about that in a minute. Freedom from stereotypes. And that is a big, big, big one. I'm going to talk about that a second. And then just really, being ready for the future. I mean, our motto at Chatham Hall is equipping curious thinkers to lead lives of impact. And I think, these four girls who are here who have very different stories to tell have already found that they've found a new way to a path of impact just by their time with us. But I'm going to ask them a few questions here and then hop into some what ifs for those families on the Zoom thinking about, well, what's the right thing for me to think next going forward? Caroline, I'm going to ask you a little bit about this, the STEAM and the tech element, and ask you about, how you came to this at Chatham Hall when you didn't think that you would play the role that you ended up playing. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Of course, it's my favorite thing to talk about. Um, so I joined the robotics team at Chatham Hall, and I was not expecting to at all. Um, and I was not expecting to like it. I just thought, well, if I'm not good at math, or maybe I didn't like one science class, that I wouldn't like robotics. Um, and I absolutely loved it. My first year, I was just surrounded by so many supportive people who taught me and just kind of lifted me up. And by my senior year, I was the robotics team captain, which still saying is like shocking because it just does not seem like something I would do or I thought I would do. And every time we would go to our competitions, we were the only all girls team in Virginia and Maryland. And it was always so exciting because we girls would come up to us from other schools and they'd say, "Man, I wish I could be on your team. That's so exciting that you guys are all girls." And just like all this stuff. And I mean, yeah, we did get like some guys from other teams, who thought maybe we shouldn't be doing what we should be doing. But we definitely, I just know it built my confidence, and knowing that like you can try something new and you don't have to be necessarily great at it at first. But just because you're a girl doesn't mean you shouldn't not try new things.
I think that's wonderful. Well, Anna, you're very involved in our community, as all of our girls are. Can you tell us a little bit about, because you said you came from a co-ed school, elementary and middle, and you've sort of reimagined that. What are some of the community things or leadership things that you've been able to get up to at Chatham Hall?
There's a lot of things that I do at the school. I think mainly focusing like around the classroom. I lead my own clubs. So I have a STEM club and a club that participates in community service. So along with our service leagues at school, like we have a community service league, but I get to branch out of that and also find my own ways to help connect with the community more. And I think just having the opportunity alone to design my own clubs or find a way to lead in some form allows me to like learn to solve my own problems and to build on my leadership skills, especially in the classroom as well. The teachers will always teach us what to do, but at some point there's like a point in time where they know that they can facilitate and know that we're able to continue on like an experiment using our own problem solving skills, and I really appreciate that in the classroom. I also love to get involved with my hobbies. So I love to dance and I love participating in the chapels. And when I first came, I thought that chapel was like something that was set in stone and something that I wouldn't really be able to participate in. But since then, it's so easy just to get involved in the community. I talked to some of the adults who help lead chapel services, and I've been able to combine both my love for dance and my love for planning and chapel services into one. And so I find that as a really nice way to step up into leadership. And so no matter what you do, I think on campus, there's always some way where you'll find a way to use your independence and use your problem solving skills to help better the community around you.
Awesome. Thank you. A quick question. Do you think all of that would be co-ed school for you, Anna? Honestly.
Not really, no. I feel like especially in the classroom, I think I would not feel like that inclined to step up, especially in things like experiments. I probably would feel kind of like I should stay a little more quiet, um, and probably think that like I'm not as capable enough to do that. Um, but I think coming here really helps me find like my true potential, especially in what I'm doing like on campus.
Awesome. So Rose, I have a question for you. Obviously, you are one of our international students, but you're one of many. So some of their, I mean, obviously you have some other students from China that are in your class and spread through the school. Have you learned about other cultures from just being able to come and be at Chatham Hall, different cultures from different international students? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I mean, being an international student is hard, like at first, because like when I decided to come here, like I just like really into a big nervous because it's my second language, and I also like I am not sure if I can really make a lot of friends or I will really feel belonging in this community because like my family is in another country. So like, but obviously like when I came here, I feel like it's really belonging. I mean, we do have a big diversity of the culture. We have like a, a lot of the different country, but I think the really good thing is like we have the chapel to celebrate it. Like just we just did like the Peace Garden and we say that in a different language. I mean, the school give us international student a lot of opportunity to be proud of our national and to share our traditional cultures to this whole community. So we can feel like we are really a part of Chatham. It's not just like we know the US culture or something, and we can also share ourselves. And everyone are to have a really positive attitude to learn it, to know that. So like I feel that was really good.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to go to the next set of questions, but I know Rowan has something to offer on this next one because she and I have talked about this a little bit before. So if you are a family on the call and you have an eighth grade daughter or a seventh grade daughter, or an older daughter who's in a different school right now that's co-ed, I want to encourage you to think about these questions. Like if you are thinking about it and you're looking at schools, maybe your daughter's in eighth grade and you're starting to look for ninth, or maybe she's in seventh and you're getting a jump on it. Or maybe you have daughters in ninth, 10th, and 11th, and it just doesn't quite feel the way that these great girls are describing it. Ask these questions when you go. Ask them. I mean, they should be easy answers. You know, are you seeing girls on the front line of leadership? And I mean all leadership. Are girls represented in the way that they should be according to the breakdown? If it's a co-ed school, it should be pretty much 50-50. Do we have a lot of class presidents that are girls? Is that happening? Um, is your daughter being called upon and encouraged to participate in class? And you heard that from Rowan, you heard that from Anna. You know, we even whether we're aware of it or not, that indirect feeling that we're supposed to be something else in a co-ed classroom is it's very, very strong. And these are the years that where it really matters. How many girls are in those really high level STEM classes? Is that male dominated or not? Does my daughter's school value girls' athletic teams equally with boys? Rowan's going to talk to us about that in a second. And then this one is a really critical one, and you can evaluate this very quantitatively. Which gender is most prominently featured on the school's social media, particularly in athletics? It's very, very much worth looking at how many posts, if you're in a co-ed school, are broken down by gender. Rowan, you had a really fascinating story about this at your co-ed public school that really speaks to this part about athletic value. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so one thing I noticed, and it really wasn't until I came here, which looking back, I definitely regret not picking up on it earlier, but our practice fields for athletics for the same sport, for soccer, um, the boys' field was larger and had a larger stadium, and they also had a giant billboard for the scoreboard, and it lit up. It had all the bells and whistles, huge sound system, and the girls had actually like a flip one with paper that you flip. Um, and it was like the practice field in the off season. So it was just small things like that that really aren't that small when you look at it long term. Because it's the same sport, it's the same level, it's the varsity team for both co-ed teams, but it just shows you how they're not treated fair and they're not treated equally. Um, and it's definitely not a great mindset to have going into these sports because both of them deserve those nice fields. And it's nice to have everything be equal and fair here and everyone have the same opportunity to grow, which is something I did not have at my previous school. I wasn't even able to join a team. There was only one team for track, which was I was a track athlete, and um there's only one team for girls, but there is a JV team, a middle school team, and a varsity team for boys track, which I noticed right during the tryouts.
So you experienced this firsthand, didn't you?
Yes.
You did. Interesting, interesting. Well, in summary, because I do want to give us an opportunity to get some Q&A going. Really, these are the things. Cultural competency as we lean into trying to foster a lifetime of impact for students and a lifetime of fostering belonging. Bottom line, girls' school grads, greater cultural competency, much stronger community involvement. There is a very strong statistic that if girls graduate from all girls independent schools, they are 3 times more likely to be civically engaged and hold a leadership position in college and beyond. Civic political engagement, fostering her voice, girls speak up, leadership skills. And the girls, I think, said it very well. At Chatham Hall, every girls' school, every leadership position is held by a girl. It's the norm. So when you go to college, you should totally expect to take a leadership role because you're used to it. Self-confidence, we really started with that. Again, in 30 years, I have never met a family who have said, I don't want my child to be more self-confident. It is the number one thing, the number one gift that an education can give. How do girls learn? Dedicated to just girls. Think about those different brains, those different levels of confidence. You don't have to be met in the middle while a teacher, even a wonderful teacher, is trying to balance 2 very different developmental phases. Inspirational environment. We want girls to take center stage. I think Anna spoke to that very well, the academic achievement. And then we want to be interested and confident in STEM. And we know that STEM-based fields are the ones where those careers, as much as AI is beginning to really be something that we talk about a lot in education, we know and are confident that STEM fields will be the ones that in 2030 and 2040 are still fostering wonderful careers for hopefully lots of women. These are some books that, and we will share this presentation with you. If you are interested in just thinking a little bit more about this or looking at books that really make these things clear, these are fabulous books to consider. Under Pressure, How Girls Achieve, Enough as She Is. They really are excellent books. They're not too brain research built, but if you have a daughter, I would encourage you to consider checking one of these out of the library or downloading one for your audio bookstore. They really do help you look at a girl and look at what she needs. And these are also wonderful as well. American Girls and the Social Media and the Secret Life of Teenagers, slightly terrifying as a parent, but important to know. And then this one, Beautiful, Being an Empowered Young Woman. I believe a new edition has just come out of that. These are really great books to sort of, put on your nightstand and dip in and out of if you have a daughter. And I do want to end with this one. This is a must read, Whistling Vivaldi by Claude Steele. We talked a little bit about stereotypes and how girls' schools break those down. This entire book is built around the concept of stereotypes, and it is research based. And what it basically proves is, and I will give you one example. The author, a psychologist, he decided that he would take two groups at a very prominent Ivy League university who were in advanced math programming. And he said to one group of students, both groups were women, and he did this with all different affinity groups, but this was particularly with women, two different groups. And he said to one group, we want you to take a math test, a very difficult math test, and we're really interested to see how women do on this test. To the other group of women who were the same level of math, they were the same place in the university, we want you to take a math test. There was no mention of their gender. There was no mention of gender being anything of significance. And it may not surprise you at all to hear that the girls who were told, we are looking at how women do on this test, did significantly worse than the people who were not told that it was a gender-based test. And this happens with all different ethnicities, all different minorities. And this book is about how stereotypes affect us and what we can do. And if in an Ivy League university, incredibly strong math students who are going on to math PhDs can fall down on a test just because they've been told that it is a test that's measuring them as women, in the world of mathematicians, I think we can all sort of maybe agree that stereotypes really can make a difference. So this one is worth a read. It's a not to be forgotten book. And we're just so grateful you joined us. And I think Miss Keating may have some questions for us in the Q&A. Thank you so much for having an interest in some questions.
Oh,
Over.
we do. We have several questions in the Q&A. The first question is a great one, and I think that any one of the young women who are current Chatham Hall students or recent alumna can answer this one. How are girls encouraged to try new things? Do you all have an example of how you were encouraged to try something new at Chatham Hall?
Raise your hand if you want to take it, girls, and go for it. Go ahead, Caroline.
I can take it. So like I mentioned, I was encouraged to try robotics, but more in depth, I was encouraged to take coding, like computer science classes, which I would have never also thought about taking. I thought that was really difficult and um, just something I wouldn't have thought I could do. And although like that's not the field I'm going into, I'm so glad I took them. I think just taking classes and trying things that interest you and seeing if you like it or not. And maybe you like it, but you know, well, this isn't what I want to do for my job, or this isn't what I want to study in college. It's still really important. And just my teachers were like, I'm so glad you're taking it. You should try it. Or you know, well, if you're confused, just always come and ask for help. You know, it was never like, oh, you should take this class, but if you do badly, then, oh, uh-oh, you know, it was nothing like that. So I think that's a really good example. And you're just always encouraged to try, whether it's like a sport or the arts or a class. It's always all the time.
Anybody else got anything to add to that one? Rose?
Yeah, because like I'm in writing program like since last year, and I do writing like in China before, but it's completely the different type. So like when I was a freshman, I was so frustrated because like everything is different than what I'm already learned. So I'm just start like feel embarrassing because like I cannot show like am really good at it or something else. But like at the first day, like we have like a whole team writing progress. Like a lot of like girls are come to ask me like, Rose, do you need help to take here or something? And I grew up really fast in this situation because like I never feel embarrassing at all. Like I just feel like if I don't know something, like I can go ask, like I can trust them, they will help me like in a really positive attitude. And even do a mistake or something, like they will not judge me. And we are really grow up like as a team. And you really feel like when you are growing up, you are surrounded by the support. So like everyone is encouraging you like in a daily life. So it's really build a confidence and build your own skills. So and I made into IEA this year. So it's really
Yay! That's so exciting. Thank you, Rose. Miss Keating, how about another question? I want to be
I have another question. The second question would be, how would my daughter find her voice at Chatham Hall? And since we maybe don't know this girl, maybe you might think about how you might have found your voice at Chatham Hall.
Rowan.
Rose.
Yeah, so touching back on what I said about being confident enough to public speak, you can find your voice in lots of ways, but just the literal way of getting up and speaking, I didn't think about it at all. And then our Chaplain Barksdale, came up to me one day and was like, "Will you be interested in giving the Lord's Prayer during this chapel service?" I was terrified, didn't want to do it. She's like, "You'll do great. You don't have to, no pressure." And I'm like, well, I should push myself outside my comfort zone. I did it, I survived, and I volunteered for the next one. But there's always new opportunities given to you, and they make you feel confident enough and like you will succeed, and they coach you through it if you are nervous. Like I met with her. It's like 5 lines. I've learned it my whole life. I was terrified. But she met with me and we went through it, practiced in the chapel. You're really set up to succeed. And we have meetings with literally anyone you want. If you want to find your voice, anyone here will support you, whether it's a student leader, a faculty member, your peers on dorm, you'll find it so soon.
I'm actually going to ask a question and might get Anna to answer this, which is, we have a lot of discussion-based classrooms. We sit around circular tables in a lot of our humanities classrooms, and actually that's a research fact. Girls learn better face to face, boys learn better side by side. So girls naturally gravitate in circles. If we have a group of us, we tend to sit in a circle. That's how we're comfortable. So that's why we learn that way. Anna, could you talk a little bit maybe about your voice in the classroom and how that discussion-based method might play out well for somebody who's really looking to find their voice?
Yes, I definitely agree how much I appreciate the roundtables. I know like personally when I'm in a classroom setting that is more side to side and like in layers, especially if I'm like near the back, I sort of feel like it's like as if I'm not close enough to the front of the classroom to feel like I need to speak. And so I feel like eventually I found my voice, especially in my English and history classes. Having our roundtable discussions about like whatever we're reading or the assignment that we had. Um, it was really nice how it started off as the teacher allowing us all to have a chance to talk. So everyone would at least talk once. And eventually it gravitated towards us just popcorning out like ideas, and it really did just happen naturally. I definitely appreciate like being across the table from someone who just said a really good idea and just being able to open my mouth and like kind of bounce off of that. I definitely do think it helps me learn a lot more because I learn mainly through discussion and engagement. And so I think for me, that was definitely like a type of hands-on experience that you can get from that.
And I'm interested to ask Caroline, playing that all the way forward, this is obviously a family asking for how their daughter might do on the front end, how she might discover that on the front end. And we also have small classrooms. We have an intimate setting, so we really do get to know everyone. Caroline, you've come all the way through that and you're now in college. I mean, has it helped you? Has what you learned in the finding your voice, how is it playing out for you as a freshman in college?
Um, well, part of I was a little worried because when I went to Chatham Hall, I was not afraid to speak up in class. I asked questions. I never, was scared to ask for help. And so I was worried, maybe when I get back in these larger classrooms or back around boys, that I'll be more afraid to ask for help, ask questions, contribute to a discussion. But I'm not. I just have a confidence um, in the classroom, and I just think you carry it with you, and you kind of have this idea about what a classroom should be and how you should feel when you're in class, like how you should feel about yourself. And I think you, after you go to a girls' school, you kind of just carry that with you.
Graduated in 1989 from my girls' school, and I still have it as well. Just really quickly, Rose, how did it work for you with friendships? How did you find your voice in friendships?
I feel like it's just like what I'm saying. Like it's because like I feel like all my friends have a really inclusive perspective. So I will feel confident and feel comfortable to say my own opinion. And I mean, I start to believe like being different will not break your friendship if this friendship is healthy and is real. So I getting closer with my friends like when we start to talking about the different opinion about the different thing, we are not trying to argue or something. We just share about it and we can have a like, like a global perspective about one thing or something. And this even to build up our friendship because like even we are friends, but we also respect each other and we include each other's different. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think we've got a couple more questions, right, Miss Keating, and then we need to be respectful of time.
We do. There's one question that's two parts. I think the first part might be best for you, Rector Stephenson, and the second part of the question might be best for our student and alumna contributors. The first part of the question is, what percentage of girls are 7-day boarders? And the second part of the question is, which is kind of a statement with a question mark. I hear the question mark at the end of it. I worry my daughter might be bored or lonely on the weekends as a boarder.
Right. So the vast majority of our girls are 7-day board. We have a fluctuating number of girls who are 5-day boarders and a very small smattering of girls who are day students. What I will tell you is that speaking to all of the things that these wonderful girls have said about sort of how all in we are as a school, it's very difficult to distinguish who are our 7, 5, and day students. And there are actually some employees who are like, really? That person is a day student? That's crazy. We do a lot of sleepovers. So a lot of our 5-day boarders like to sleep over, and a lot of our day students like to sleep over, which is definitely allowed. We are very fortunate that we truly are what we call a 24/7 program. We live in community 24/7. And so when our day students go home, typically they're not traveling very far. They have really had I would say, a sort of pseudo boarding experience already. Our 5-day boarders often choose to stay for the weekend anyway. So, and it is very normal for me to get a request from a family who have started as a 5-day boarder to say, okay, we sort of put a toe in the water with 5-day boarding because we sort of wanted to see how it went. Nope, we need to do 7-day boarding. Or a day student who will say, Mom, Dad, I really have to be a 5-day boarding. I'm missing out if I'm not there because all the fun kind of cool things happen on dorm. So I would say that we really do take our commitment to be a very inclusive boarding program very seriously. And, our day students and our 5-day students really very seamlessly work their way into that sort of 7-day boarding rubric. We like to be together, and I think our 5-day and our day students feel that. I'll let these girls talk about the weekends because we do a lot of things on the weekend. And I'm just going to say, from my perspective as the rector, I probably get 5 or 6, 7 emails a week saying, cookies in the well, or I just made brownies. Does anybody want one? We're watching them. And that is just the spontaneous things that are happening. I just got an email a little while ago saying, I want to make cupcakes. Does anybody have any frosting? So Zoom, I need to go take some frosting over to dorm. But Girls, Rowan, you're a senior, so I mean, you actually also play a little bit of a role, as does Anna, in some of the planning of these things. So, what do we do on the weekends?
Yeah, so as a prefect last year, I was part of the planning process for weekend activities. So we will always have at least three on-campus prefect-led, student-led weekend activities, which are always fun to go to. It's all peer organized. You just get to hang out with your friends and do a fun activity, whether that's baking, crafts, going on a walk, laser tag we had last year, manhunt. It's always fun. But then we also get off campus a lot. And some of my favorite memories and some of my friendships here have started from going off campus and sitting next to someone on the bus or going to an amusement park or a farmer's market, or even just going. We went strawberry picking last year and it was amazing. Um, we get off campus enough where I feel like I'm really experiencing stuff. I'm not missing out on anything I wouldn't be doing at home. And honestly, I'm doing more because even for this weekend, I'm going to a haunted house and then I'm going on a hike and the grocery store. So I never feel like I'm skipping out on something fun. Um, but then just on dorm, after we get back, we eat dinner together and then we all just hang out. We have common rooms up on dorm where we can hang out. We all chill in each other's dorms, just talk, watch a movie, play some games. Really big fans of Twister up here on senior wing. Um, really anything. It's just one giant sleepover on the weekends, really. And sometimes I find myself going over to the other dorm and having a sleepover on a Saturday with my old roommate. It's kind of just the best parts of living with your best friends.
Good point. Anna, how about you? What do you get up to on the weekends?
Yes, so like Rowan said, there are so many weekend activities. I think another key thing is that even if there aren't many weekend activities, a lot of the time we do something called grade level programming where we get with like our grades, and it's another form of like community bonding. And so a lot of the time, like in our classes or throughout the school day, we're split up, whether it's by like the grade levels or just class size. And so whenever we do grade level programming, I feel like it's a really nice way for our grade to come back as our like I guess smaller community and continue to bond with one another. I think building off of what Rowan said also, I definitely agree that some of my like really strong friendships have been made like meeting each other for the first time on a weekend activity. I remember my freshman year I went to King's Dominion and I love roller coasters, but I get so scared the second it's my turn to go on. And so I was on a roller coaster with someone who I hadn't really talked to and we were screaming together the whole time. And so afterwards like we were talking about it and it was like we clicked from that small instance that we had with each other. And so weekend activities, even if you are nervous to talk to people or you haven't really like found or yeah, found someone to go with, I think it's very easy still to have a good time and to meet new people and to continue like that sense of community off campus and on campus.
Well, we also have things like we have an open art lab every Sunday afternoon. We slightly mix up our food schedule because everybody likes to sleep in a little bit on the weekend. So we have brunch on Saturday and Sunday. One of the wonderful things about Chatham is that, and it's so unique to boarding schools across the country of all kinds, is that we are within a 5-minute walk of just the most beautiful historic town. And so we don't have to get on a bus to go to a big, to go and do anything. We can walk to, an independent coffee shop. We can walk to get some really great Mexican food. We can walk to a historic bookshop. And that really gives us the opportunity to be involved in the town in a way that is really wonderful. We are able to go to the public library if we want to walk there. So we also, of course, have a lot of athletic events that happen on the weekend, particularly horse shows. So they'll be volunteering for that kind of thing as well. Rose, what are some of your favorite memories of weekend activities? What do you like to do? I see you down in the niche a lot.
Yes, like because I'm living in Devoney, which is like above the niche storm. I feel like during the weekend, because I'm a person like I will not go out a lot. And I feel like the weekend activity for me is not only like hang out with your friends, you can also enjoy your own time. Like you can chill like after a busy week or something because we really have a beautiful like campus. Like you can always feel free to go down to the barn or like to go to the gym. It's just down the dorm. It's really convenient to do your own thing. And also we have the opening art studio. If you want to do your own art just to enjoy your own time, you can have a lot of opportunity to do that. So like if you're just being so tired of the social the whole week, you can also find your own space. But also we do have a lot of like go out to the campus or just hanging out with your friends. We have a movie. We also have a viewing room. So it's not limited in Chatham at all. You can just be yourself and you can find a safety and a comfort space for yourself. That was perfect.
Rose, I think that's such a good point because sometimes we need to spend the weekend recharging, or we need to have a change of pace. We might want to go and do something, and then we'd like to sort of, recharge because we have students that are extroverts and students that are introverts. And that was such a really valuable point that we don't have to be on all of the time. We're comfortable in our own skin, and we can recharge sometimes and just take a walk or maybe just be with one friend or watch a movie with another friend. So I think that was really valuable. And I know we're running out of time, but I really would like to ask Caroline. Caroline, what do you miss the most? Because we miss you. What do you miss the most about Chatham Hall?
I miss the people the most. The girls, the faculty, staff. I just miss the community so much. I miss my friends. I miss so much about Chatham Hall. But just the people, definitely.
Well, I will say that I think it speaks to the strength of this community that when I reached out to Caroline and when Miss Keating reached out to Caroline, busy freshman, everybody, she just got to college and she's got homework and things to do. And when we asked her if she would be willing to give up a Tuesday evening to be with us, she didn't hesitate and she said, "Where do you need me and when?" And the same with these other three wonderful girls. I'm sure they have homework that's due tomorrow, right, girls? And they, when we asked them if they would be willing to come and speak to on this Zoom, and please know, we really didn't spend a lot of time preparing here. We just sort of told the girls the sort of things we'd be talking about, and we asked them to be themselves. But Rowan, Caroline, Anna, and Rose, we're very grateful for your perspective. If we get more questions that maybe one of you specifically might be able to answer for a family or for a student themselves, hopefully Miss Keating will be able to direct that question to you. And I just really want to thank you for taking time to do this. Like I said, we've had full break. We're back to the swing of things now. There's homework and things are happening tomorrow, but you've all been here. Miss Keating, are we in a position to wrap up and maybe tell folks that we can email this out or answer more questions if they've come in and we haven't had an opportunity to get to them yet?
I think that we covered the very last question in the answers to the second to last question. So you have cleared the Q&A, ladies. Well done.
Well, thank you to everybody who's joined us. Thank you for taking some time to find out why girls' schools are magical. We happen to think that the most magical girls' school in the entire world is Chatham Hall. But we hope that this has given you something to think about if you have a daughter or even if you have a son. And just give us a call, and we are grateful for your time, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. And let us know if you have any more questions for us because we've got lots more answers for you. Thank you to everybody. Thanks, girls. And thank you for moderating. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.